Okay, now how's that?
Okay, let's.
Can
No
I check one, two?
echo. Yay.
We're
All
good?
right. Michael. So, Michael, do you go by Michael or Mike?
Mike.
Okay, Mike. So, I'm so excited that you agreed to join me. I am somewhat starstruck and I am so excited about your story and just your experience being a seven-figure earner in multiple different businesses. And I also know that you said no to iBoomerang several times. Isn't that right?
I didn't just say I didn't say no. I ignored it for 15 texts.
Wow. Okay,
Yeah.
so you're here because I'd really love for you to share why you decided to say yes to this opportunity.
Okay.
Because I had
Um,
I had been waiting too, and so I can't wait to hear your story.
okay.
I'm
Well,
gonna zip
thank
it
you for
now.
having me on. I know we just met basically a few hours ago over the phone. You called me, you messaged me, invited me, and I said sure, I'll do one. I mean, I don't mind doing these. These don't, I enjoy them, and it's good to communicate with other people in different groups, things like that. So, well, let me give you a quick background. Like you said, that I have had some experience in the industry. I got started in networking in 1994. I was originally in the bar business. Um, I just was looking for a way out of the bar business. I'd been in for about 8 years. I was a bouncer and a bartender and just burned out. And I had a girlfriend that I probably assumed was going to be my wife, still my wife to this day after 20, or we've known each other for 25 years. Just knew that the bar industry was not going to be the place to probably have a stable relationship, if you want to put it that way. And all I heard was I remember going to a meeting and I didn't know anything about networking. I'd never heard of the phrase before. I didn't know anybody. I never even knew anybody after I was, how old was I? Probably about 27 years old. I didn't know a single person that I could reference that I knew was making more than $30,000 a year at that point. Really, I mean, I just did not comprehend that people could make money. And I went to a meeting, and I remember the first presentation I ever saw was a guy that was a former farmer who had gotten into this company, gave the worst presentation I'd ever heard in my life. Boring, boring, boring. And all I remember was the last page of the presentation showed the money. And then I heard him talk about residual income, which I had never heard that phrase before, the ability to do some work today and continue to get paid on that work again and again. And what was so funny was I got so excited. I went home, I called my dad, and I said, Dad, I'm so excited about something I found. They have this thing called residential income. And he goes, what? I go, residential income. People are so fired up about residential. He goes, do you mean residual? I go, I think they got that too. And that was how I was literally, he explained to me what residual meant, and that's kind of how I got started. So you fast forward of, learning, and what was really neat is it was more of a personal development journey than anything else for quite a few years. And it was very excited about what I had done in the industry, or started to meet some people. And I actually started to be able to think bigger, to where I could get out of my job, and I was able to walk, actually finally get out of my job, and so on. And then I kind of just, learned things all the way up to the point where I, was making a full-time income. And then I got to the point later where I was able to bring my wife home and we raised our kids on it, to the point that I was in, one of the companies I was in, we made like $1.4 million in just one company. We've been that. And so for over the 23 years of being in networking, it's created, the most important thing it's created was not just the money, but obviously the ability to call my own shots. That was it. Like me, I just wanted my life. And we homeschooled our three kids all the way up until my daughter never went to school. My middle son only went for 2 years. And then my last son basically started going when he was I'm sorry, what, a freshman, because I
Mm,
put my boys in school because they were in football and things like that.
yeah.
And so that's kind of, my background. And I've been in the, and I've always looked at everything that's been out there. People pitch me on just about everything that's out there. I got into internet marketing, and most importantly, marketing in general, about 11 years ago. The reason that's such a important to this conversation is I really learned strategies. I learned to make data-driven decisions. I was able to launch my own company that was not a networking company, and start a traditional business and company. I actually, on the side, I started doing marketing for corporations. I was hired by a company to help launch a networking company. I mean, I sat in their boardroom and they asked me everything. I gave them all the advice on the back office, the softwares, everything you can think of. It's been to this experience, so it's kind of cool. But then I had gotten out of networking for about 5 years, and then I was approached with this, and I was like, I had just previously done something for just a small window, though, just to be honest. So I was out for 5 years doing all that other stuff, building my own company, and then I saw something that made a little sense. I got into it, but I just knew the company wasn't really going to pull it off, and I just kind of let it go. And then there was a few months later, the same guy that introduced me to that talked to me about this, and about iBoomerang, and I was like, okay, and I kind of ignored his 15 texts, literally this truth. And the last text he sent me was, "This one's just different." And I finally replied back, "Heard that before." And, and because we were good friends, then after I'd sent it, I kind of felt bad that I'd sent it because I was just being a smarty pants, And so I called him up. I said, "All right, lay it out to me. Why won't you leave me alone? What are you so fired up about?" And so if you don't mind, Michelle, and you're welcome to interrupt me because I can have a tendency to just talk.
That's okay.
Okay. But I think that if I'm looking at a company, if I'm looking at something, I look at certain specific things. And I think that if you look at, and then now that I've made my decision and we're really, really working hard, tearing it up with this thing, and there's a lot of people on our team doing well, is I usually talk about 5 points when I talk, okay? The first one being, if you want to know where your ship is going, you have to identify who the captain is. The thing that got me to actually take a very good look at this was Holton Buggs. Regardless of what anybody ever says, you cannot deny that this gentleman's success is second to none in the industry. In fact, he's the largest income producer in the history of our industry. Right? I mean, that's saying a lot considering the hundreds and hundreds, if not thousands, of multimillionaires that our industry has created. Okay, it's a profession if you treat it like a profession. The reason most people poo-poo networking is because they always treat it like a hobby, and hobbies typically just cost you money. Some people, if you don't treat it like a profession, you don't get anything out of it. So if you look at what Holton's done in his past, people equate him as being basically the Michael Jordan of our profession. Also, I've never heard a gentleman that articulates a vision better or bigger than him. And the one thing that I did miss about networking is, you have kind of that law of the lid, and like who you associate with, you become. And I really hadn't, for quite a few years, I didn't have anybody that was really adding to my life to the point that got me out of my comfort zone, because I was getting my bills paid and I was making good money and, and calling my own shots. But, I always wanted to go to this different level, right? This obnoxious income level. And, and to be around a guy that's made that obnoxious income level income is really the only way to do it. You can't do something that you can't envision, and you can't typically just come up with it in most cases out of the clear blue. It's better to learn from somebody who's got experience. The next thing that I think of that's important with the 5 things that I talked about or I looked at was their flagship and original entry into customer acquisition is in the travel space. Now, I did not want to join a travel company, and I'm glad I didn't, because I do not picture this in one second. I do not think of this as a travel company.
Right.
This is a technology company that the big picture here is customer acquisition at all costs. Travel just happens to be the door that you open to go in and go, wow, that's cool. But then when you start looking in there deeper and deeper, you're like, holy moly. So travel is an $8 trillion industry. Well, I thought I was a smart business guy until I heard that, because I had no idea that that industry was that big, and I'd never tapped into it.
Right.
Am I right? Right. I
Right.
mean, you don't need too big. You don't need too big of a slice of $1 trillion pie to make a lot of money. Let alone 8 trillion, and they said that it will probably double in the next 10 years. So
Well,
that's more money than people can comprehend.
well, plus you
Go
think
ahead.
that there's so many other, travel companies out there monopolizing it already, and then to find out there's only two.
Right. It's a shell game. Like that's what people
crazy.
don't, and we won't, and I'm not going to go into detail on that, but basically there's two companies that monopolize all travel who own all of the other websites that you see advertised on TV, radio, and print, that are basically creating a shell game of a thing called price parity, where you think you're getting savings because you look at hotels.com, compare it with Kayak, but they're still owned by the same parent company. So this price might change today, this one price changed today. So you think you're not being messed with, but ultimately you are. Whereas our model, we can acquire customers 100% of the time cheaper because we don't have to pay for advertising. And I also, with my traditional business that I created, one of the things that we did was I'm in the service industry. I'm not going to give you details on it, but we make money in some of those things by helping companies, corporations save money. So I had already heard this message because it was already what I was doing. So when Holton said, we want to use an Uber philosophy with an Amazon technology to create a massive customer acquisition play that we can then create multiple streams of income through that one single customer. Because ultimately, in case somebody's new to watching this video, is all we do is we give away free codes to customers. So it's free for the customer to get a code. They activate a website, and it's your customer for life. Just like Uber became a multi-billion-dollar company. And if you could go back in time, Uber was a stupid word. I didn't know what Uber meant for years. I didn't even know what that meant, right? I had to look it up. And then turns out that company became a multi-billion-dollar company faster than just about any company out there. So we're using Holton Bugs, the captain, using the travel space. And then the other thing in networking, one of the biggest things that people miss or never have the opportunity to be part of it because they either wait or they let it go by, is timing. So if you think about the timing we have, it's a dumb saying, but you kind of get it. If you catch a wave early and you catch a big enough wave, even a bad surfer can make it to the beach, right? And what we have is we have the opportunity to be in on the ground. We're still beyond ground floor. However, the data and the numbers that we are putting up are unbelievable. Okay, as an example, you've heard these. We've got over 40 in just. So they pre-launched. Basically, they said, hey, we're gonna keep building this thing, but if you want to join, you're welcome to. Just understand it might be a little painful. They pre-launched from March 11th all the way up till September 1st. So September 1st of 2019 was our official launch date. So we're only 45 days old for the time you and I are doing this. 45 days. But our numbers are staggering. We got representatives, they call us TSAs, Travel Savings Ambassadors, in 120 different countries right now. We have brought on over 45,000 people as TSAs worldwide, which is really nothing. We have already acquired and activated with those codes over 200,000 customers, who have now booked over $20 million worth of bookings faster than anybody's ever done it. I mean, they said that we are booking actual bookings faster than those other companies that pay millions of dollars on TV. We're already doing that. We've paid out, the company's paid out to the field, the people who have referred people to these codes, I think it's over $13 million in commissions already. And we're listed as the 10th fastest growing company in the world by a website called growjoe.com. And in the number one network marketing publication out there that does all the online stuff, they said we are the company with the most momentum in the entire industry. And no one knows who we are yet. Okay?
It's so exciting. The moment, just being a part of something, and we're not selling anything. It's
right. When's the last time you had to do that?
And we're helping people like get their life back.
Yeah, I mean, It's easy. And all other networking companies, their rewards are to let people go on trips to travel. Whereas we start from the gateway of it. You know what I mean? If you think about it. So you got Holton, the industry of travel, you've got timing, and then systems. One of the things that I think that will help somebody, most people when they take a look at a business, they're asking themselves really just two questions. Is it worth doing and can I do it? Is it worth doing and can I do it? And if you can answer those two questions, most people jump on board. Well, is it worth doing? Right now, we have multiple people making six figures monthly already in our company in that short period of time. And like I said, they've paid out $13 million in commissions, and it just got started.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so people are getting direct deposits into their bank accounts. I am one of those people, and it's pretty healthy of what it's gotten deposited so far. But then the other thing is systems, right? Can I do it? They have an automated system. It's called an iDecide, which is an interactive presentation that anybody can send somebody a text with it or an email, and all they do is they watch an interactive presentation and just push buttons that says, do you like to travel? Yes or no? Yes. Where would you like to go? Here, 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 or all of the above? All of the above. Next thing, and then it says, hey, what's holding you back? Money. Okay, well it just walks you through it. Plus, I've built systems. I know you got your own websites, your own Facebook groups and so on. Is we have very simple things to help people get started with our company to get them off the ground very, very quickly and get them into profit very, very quickly above and beyond anything that they've ever had. Now, here's the thing. Usually in networking, of any network marketing companies, most of the time, if you don't build a big team and become one of the big top recruiters, like myself, right? You usually don't make any good money. I believe because we have such a strong customer-centric focus that we will have tons of people that are making significant money, like six figures annually, just on customer acquisition without even hardly any reps.
Right.
Because here, let me expand on this. So picture this: somebody gets a free code, they go in and they activate the website and they shop around like they were normally going to do. So we didn't ask them to do anything they weren't already planning on doing. We didn't increase a buying habit, and we're not putting them on auto ship of any kind. But what's cool about, I said earlier, the Uber philosophy with the Amazon technology is the artificial intelligence platform that we have through our entire infrastructure with the travel company that we use that will actually watch and do the buying, whatever the buying habits, the things that something happens with a person, the customer journey. They will then start to promote the right products at the right time to those people. Like as an example, it's coming very shortly. Like the day is almost here that somebody will go online, book a flight to Fort Lauderdale because they want to get out of Ohio in the wintertime. They book a flight to Fort Lauderdale. When they land, they're going to get an email that says, or a notification on their phone, their app, that says, hey, because we just bought a rideshare company, hey, we need, do you need a ride from the airport? Yes. Oh, by the way, since you're in Fort Lauderdale, here's some hotel suggestions. I mean, it's all there. We never have to follow up with the customers. Customers are automatically followed up with. Also, I think next month we're launching our Boom Mobile. It's going to be an unlimited data and text service that all this happens. So if you look with the systems, okay, still staying on the systems, also with the systems and the power of this opportunity is because it's a customer acquisition play, all of the customers that are acquired, as our customer base continues to grow with iBoomerang, that gives us a massive amount of leverage for any service that you think could be beneficial to a person that we will be able to roll in. Because when Holton can go to any company, let's say it's and I don't want to pull it out there because if this gets out public, they'll say Mike said, but let's say any service you can just about think of could be monetized through our platform because we will have the buying power leverage to go to anybody. Let me ask you this, okay? So Michelle, I'm going to use you as a hypothetical. Michelle, you just created a really, really awesome service. You've developed it, you've got your company and so on. You think it's going to be huge, it's going to be beneficial. Would you rather plug into an already pre-existing 5 million person plus customer base by just giving us a little bit of a discount on that service so we can pass it on to the people who got those customers? Or would you rather from scratch spend millions and millions and millions of dollars trying to acquire a customer? You would obviously, right, it's a no-brainer. They'll be able to, yeah, people, the leverage
Right.
we will have when we can bring customers on board with this is second to none. So what's going to happen too, this will happen in just a few months. We will also, because they've announced this, so I'm not making this up, Holton has said this himself, that shortly customers will get rewarded for referring other customers. So Michelle, if you went out and got 10 customers, but then all of a sudden they start giving cash rewards in the form of like, hey, use this $100 credit to your next your next hotel, your next flight or whatever. If you refer somebody, well, what if a customer went out and got 10 customers for you, but it all tracked back to you? 10 customers is turned into 110 potentially.
It
What if you
truly
had
is genius. I mean,
it's so smart.
you're walking through the whole dynamics of the system, and I love that you're articulating it very well. I mean, I think of it as my personal concierge. I don't know.
Exactly.
I,
And here's the here's the biggest objection I get with this business. That's too good to be true.
exactly. And
But let me ask you
I
this.
still think that sometimes.
If you won the lotto, would that be too good to be true? Yes.
Right.
But would you be dumb enough to rip up the ticket? Well, that was too good to be true.
Yeah. Yeah.
Of course not. You would figure out where you got to go to cash that ticket.
Right.
The same thing is going on. So if you think about it, we've got Holton Buggs, most successful man in the history of our profession, in the largest industry basically in the world, which is the travel space, with timing on our side to be, in on the ground floor of something that's going to be a multi-billion-dollar company, with systems in place that are cutting edge and do most of the heavy lifting for people. And then the last thing that I talk about, which I think is the glue that kind of helps us all work together, is community and culture. I kind of combine the two powerful C's. Community and culture is really just the ability for people to plug into something simple and everybody doing the right thing with the right intentions to help everybody succeed. Because a rising tide lifts all ships. So your success is good for me, and my success is good for you, because the word gets out, the testimonies get out, more and more people find out about this thing, and they start jumping on board. I use a very dumb analogy, but it makes sense on momentum and community and culture. If you've ever seen a round swimming pool, either like the above ground round swimming pools in people's backyards.
Right.
For fun, they're about the water's usually about 4 feet deep. So to me, it's about neck high almost, because I'm short, but it's about chest high. If you get 3 people in there and they stand to the outsides of the round swimming pool and start to walk in the same direction, it's very hard to walk in deep water, right? But then if you add another person and they're doing the exact same thing, walking in the same direction, eventually the inertia of the water starts to get easier and easier to move the water in the pool.
Right.
Well, then you start getting more people into that pool doing the exact same thing, and now it goes faster and it's easier and easier. And pretty soon people are now almost running in the pool. But what happens eventually is the water can actually get to the point, if enough people are in it, it spins fast enough that the water actually, in the momentum of what's going on, picks the people up and they can't keep up with it, and it moves it with them.
Right.
And you will have people on the outside looking in without thinking. They will see the momentum and they will dive in, and they'll still be swept up in the current.
Right.
We are right now creating that current. So Holton travel, timing, systems, community, and culture. And you cannot, if you combine all those 5 things, it's basically a recipe for success. If somebody was looking to supplement their income for the first time, or create a side hustle, is what a lot of people call it these days, of a few $100s a month, totally doable here. Want a few thousand, totally doable here. Somebody got a little more aggressive, worked, plugged into the stuff we're doing, really went after it, add a comma to that monthly, check. You want more digits? Feel free to do so. And like I said earlier, we already have people making 6 figures a month in our company, and it's only a few months, and it's really just a few months old, because we've got people all over the world. that was, it blew me away when we went to the Las Vegas launch on September the 1st, and there was nearly 6,000 people at that event for the very first corporate event we had ever done. When I saw that, I was speechless. And I've seen hundreds and been to hundreds and spoken on stage at many of them. I was absolutely speechless about what I saw there. And I was so excited to be finally at the right place at the right time. And it was safe to dream again and introduce people to the business. So
Right.
anyhow, I didn't, Michelle, I know I monopolized the whole call and rattled all that stuff off. Do you have any more questions for me or anything? Because I know we actually went about a half hour.
Well, I just want to share because on this site, I have, I'm posting information about the travel and the free activation code. And how much have we saved customers? Isn't it like $80,000 or what is it?
Oh, it's
Or
in the
80 million
it's in the millions of dollars have been saved already.
in just
Yeah.
travel savings. So I
Yeah,
got,
if you look at this, yeah, if you look at the travel site that we use, that company has been in business for 16 years. That backbone, that platform, and right on their website, I think it's like 78, 79 million dollars in savings.
right, right. So I got to
And
tell you a quick story
yeah, go
that
ahead.
I've got a friend that activated the code and she was so excited. She posted the 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 savings to her Facebook wall. And she's like,
Sure.
"Oh my gosh, I'm doing this." And she got back to me. She thought that code that she activated was for for the ambassador pricing. I'm like, "No.
It's free.
That's a free access code that you can use as a customer. You come in as an ambassador, your travel's going to be what,
It's even
wholesale?"
cheaper. Yeah, because we get wholesale pricing at the as ambassadors, but we pass on that. Any of the savings is there. I mean, we have 110% savings guarantee, and most people, you can't force somebody to travel, but most people within a 12-month period, I mean, you can almost count on it, will rent a car, book a hotel, book a flight, go on a cruise, things like that, and we don't have to do anything. We just give the code to somebody and say, hey, check this out when you get a chance. I got a way for you to get 5-star places for 3-star prices. And they look at it, they try it, they go, what the heck, why not? And they use the service, and and they get followed up with, and they can accumulate points just like anything else, and use those points towards more travel. And like I said earlier, they're going to be able to, they're going to be able to get discounts even bigger for referring customers here shortly when they make that available.
But it's not even just travel. I mean, it could be a multi-million-dollar home in Lake Tahoe that's, a 2-hour drive for me that I
Yes.
rent instead of going through Airbnb. I mean, I can't help but, so for me, I go through Amazon. I can get my kids' toiletries, I can get waters, I can get food items, I can get chemicals for my pool, I can get stuff for my yard. I don't have to go spend my day going to multiple different stores. And through this portal,
It's
people are,
crazy, isn't it?
you'll be able to access travel, entertainment, lifestyle, rideshare, cellular, and I have a feeling
Everything you can think of.
maybe internet. I don't know. I know that there's a lot of people are approaching Holton. So, I mean,
Why wouldn't you?
yeah,
We have the customer base, and we're going to continue to grow that customer base. But the big thing is if somebody's watching this and they're on the fence, there's 3 kinds of people: those who make it happen, watch it happen, or wonder what the heck happened. I mean, really, and it's the opportunity. Once somebody's a customer for somebody, they're a customer for life. You can't get, you can't get that person again. And those are going to start to get snagged eventually. People are going to eventually be bumping into each other
right.
and say, hey, I'm already a customer. Oh man, I wish I wouldn't have procrastinated for 3 months.
Right.
Because that's the thing is I looked at this and I was like, this makes sense. This makes sense. I'm going for it. See what happens. And it's been fantastic. I mean, just absolutely fantastic.
Well, thank
I'm sure
you.
you're excited too.
I'm very excited and I'm very passionate. There's some people probably watching that know what I do. or what I've been doing, and I've been super passionate about that. But I actually had a very good friend who's been a successful investment banker for 35 years. And he asked if he could like share some information with me. I was like 30 seconds into it, and I'm like, wow,
Oh man.
this is genius. It
Yes.
really is genius. You're not selling product. It's more, you're right. It's the technology, it's the program that is catapulting everybody, and we're just out there making people smile and have fun and make money and
And the best part is the deeper you dig, the better it gets.
right.
That's what's so exciting is the deeper you dig, the better it gets. And again, we're in the right place at the right time, and nobody knows about this thing yet. So, yeah. Well, Michelle, thank you very much for having me on here. I promised my son I would take him to go get something to eat.
Okay.
I told him I'd take him around 5:30, so we're right about on schedule.
All right. Okay.
So,
Thank you
but
so
thank
much
you
for
very
your
much for being
time.
on here. Yeah, I appreciate it.
All right. Have a nice night.
Okay, no problem.